Very good evening, and welcome to everybody on Facebook, YouTube, and various other platforms in which you have joined us. As told earlier, with is today a very special guest, Vineet Bajaj. He doesn't only represent a college, he represents a life cycle which most of us want to go through. So today we'll be trying to cover up what is Canada, what is international student, what education is all about, what aspirations from a student to the final progression of the journey we are looking at. So Vineet is just not only a college delegate representative, he's a very dear friend and a very learned fellow. So we are starting the entire series with Vineet because he's walked through the entire journey. Without his permission, I'm sharing that he's a gentleman who left the shores like you one fine day with an aspiration of an international student. He's completed that full journey from some destination and is handling something. So, without taking much of your time, I'd like to welcome Vineet on with us. And Vineet, welcome aboard. You don't only represent Algonquin for us, you represent a lot of experience. Very good evening, and thanks for your time.
Thank you, Navneet, and thank you for having me on this show. I would definitely like to begin asking. I hope that all your viewers and your family at home and your family at work is doing fine amidst these unprecedented times of COVID-19. It's actually been a while that I've spoken to you.
Yeah.
So, a great opportunity for us to talk about the current state of things as well.
Yes. So, Vineet, I remember you left this country as an aspirational student one day in your life, right?
I
And
did.
you are one of the few people who can actually take us through the journey, right? So, I would like you to share your personal experience that what were you looking at as a student, what worked well for you, and what should the new students be looking at from your experience, not only as a college rep, but as a student who was in the same position one fine day.
Absolutely. Look, there are a lot of factors that one needs to factor in. Again, times do change. Back in the day when I had left India, as you rightly said, for my overseas education, again, the country wasn't Canada for me, it was Australia. But again, one thing that is common between me and every student from India that leaves even today or aspires to leave and go for an overseas education will always remain the same. And that is that for you, you will be an international student, whether you go to Australia or you go to Canada. Challenges in all the countries, I would say the United Kingdom or United States is not any different either. The challenges are going to be very similar. The ways to handle them is going to be very similar. It's just that the location is going to be different. But yes, I am privileged that I do this for my living. That I represent Algonquin College, and today every student that I speak to, every student that I counsel, or every student that finally comes to Algonquin, whom I have met in the past, is a matter of satisfaction for me. Why? Because I, in every conversation, would always have one approach, and that is that the problems that I had once faced when I left India, even if I could minimize those problems to half for every student who is now leaving our homeland, I think the purpose of me being in this job is absolutely met. So this is the whole agenda. This is the whole psyche that I follow with each and every conversation that I do, Navneet.
Yeah. So, Vineet, I'd like to start with a few blunt questions, which you have to forgive me for. Why should a student go to Algonquin? There are a lot of public colleges. I know you don't, your
Absolutely, I
college is
think.
not desperate for kids. Your benchmark is very, very high, right? I mean, somebody who qualifies your benchmark, why should he or she opt for Algonquin?
Certainly, I would not say that it's a blunt question. I think it's a very justified question, Navneet. And if I were a student, I would obviously have all my options in front of me and then choose the best. Uh, Today, the student needs to really understand that the dynamics is very fast. The country that they aspire to go to is moving very fast. Canada is evolving from a country where there were only certain areas that were always, the land of charm for everyone. And I'm talking about none other than Toronto and Vancouver. They're great cities, beautiful cities. Today, also, they are home to some great institutions. But what also the student now needs to factor is that there are important factors which you will, of course, think later. How about if I tell you them those factors earlier and you think about them starting now itself? And that is the factors of your cost of living, your cost of education, your job prospects, and your overall lifestyle that is available to you at an average cost. Now, on all these factors, and again, these factors are not only for Ottawa, these factors should be the barometer for every student leaving India or anywhere in the world going to Canada. They should be using this as a barometer. These four factors would clearly make you understand why have you chosen Algonquin, why have you
Vineet,
chosen Ottawa.
Vineet, I have a question for you. Ottawa is capital of the country. It's the Canadian capital, which most of the people believe Toronto to be, right? But you are again a big city. On one side, we are talking about smaller towns, smaller campuses, smaller areas. You are again in one big crowded city. Do you have any college which is regional where a kid wants that I should be in a regional area to have the advantage of that?
Every time we talk about a capital of a country, what comes to a person's mind is that, okay, it's going to be the New
Delhi,
Delhi,
your city.
or yes, the city that I hail from, and it's going to be the next New Delhi, or we think of the next Washington D.C., or we think of London. With Ottawa, what is, and I think this is something again, like I said, the country that I chose was Australia for my overseas education, and this is something that I see common in Ottawa and in Canberra, which is the Australian capital. Mind you, many people have mistaken it to be Sydney or Melbourne, but it's actually Canberra. And the population of Ottawa is the factor that is in common. The population of Ottawa, even though it's the capital of Canada, is only 1.3 million, 13 lakh people.
But we need
Now,
that
what that
that get me a point. The population is not much. Do jobs lie there for deserving students? Although you are an educationist, I am
absolutely.
a consultant who's only bothered about education. We cannot commit
Hmm.
jobs, but we all know a student needs
Yes.
that legit 20 hours a week. Do we have jobs for average kids, or we have job only for IT kids? So what kind of jobs do we have in Ottawa region?
So, Navneet, we're talking about 20 hours jobs. So I think you're referring to the part-time jobs whilst the student is
Yes.
studying, because at this point, this is their priority once they start. Of course, a good career is their dream as well.
Yes.
If they are lucky with Algonquin's size, with its student population, with the population of its faculty, an 20-acre campus with over 22,000 students and faculty and other staff members. Imagine that you need a lot of people to actually handle and take care of the daily affairs of the entire campus as well. So what
So
I'm
Vineet,
referring to
yeah, yeah, sure. Please
is
carry on.
is
Go
is a
ahead.
good prospect is a good prospect for them to find employment even on campus, not outside the campus. That's why I said if you're lucky, you may find very likely employment on the campus itself. It's a great feeling that when I go to the campus, whenever whichever part of the year I go to the campus in, and if I see that, okay, if I am at the Starbucks, it's one of our fellow Indian students who's making the coffee for us.
Who's the barista for
Now
us?
understand this. Let's not even get to the intricacies of is a cafe job good or bad? Is a cafe job the only job he could have got? We are a student. We need to understand that from that every job that we will get. Firstly, no job is big or small. We're talking about the Western world, so the Western mindset, and I've led that life. So no job is big or small. At that time, your priority is that you are getting a job, and the benefit that you need to really be happy about is that you're getting a job within your campus. All you need to do is you need to come to the campus in the morning and just shuffle between your class and your job and your job and your class. That's it. Life is easy as.
So
So this
Vineet,
is this is the benefit that
yeah, Vineet, I personally have been seeing a very high, success rate for your college, right? So for Algonquin, we've been working for over a decade. We have been lucky enough to be associated with Algonquin, and luckily, my student has been a poster boy for Algonquin also, right? So the beauty is that. But now I have a separate question on that. Today, there's a new thing come across which is called AIP, right? Canadian consulate did a lot of communication per se with kids in colleges with all of us. But how do you think a kid should be saved from the cheating that is happening in the name of AIP? What is an AIP in true sense, and what implications can that AIP have? And how is Algonquin going to support a AIP student?
So we will again absolutely agree to you, Navneet. AIP is the word of the hour, is the new word that is on everyone's mind. Like we've had the GIC, we've had the IELTS. Now it's another short form that is AIP. That's on everyone's tongue. It stands for approval in principle, and it's a term that is used for visas that we normally file, or we call them study permits as well. So, because of the COVID pandemic, because the backlog is increasing, the CIC has now, instead of giving you a full-fledged study permit, because they want to cover up the backlog as well, because intakes moving forward will have a set capacity as well. It's not that the intakes in 2021 will all of a sudden have a double capacity. So because there is a lot of deferments happening, they realize this, and it is a realization of that which is leading to this particular action, and that is approval in principle. So what approval in principle by and large means is that if you are ticking all the boxes of verification to be in Canada, you will be getting an AIP, and that will make you have your safe entry. The only exceptions to that would be, which could be, which you would be made aware of, would be at a very late stage, would be anything that is related to your medical, anything that is related to a record of a criminal or an
Any
untenable
false information.
nature,
Yeah.
any false information, any untenable information
Yeah.
that is not provided or concealed by you, which is found at the border as per the record of the border officer.
GCK.
So
Yeah.
that's the only exception. If you get an AIP, I can't say it's 100% because obviously the decision lies in the hands of CIC, but I think you have sort of ticked 9 boxes out of 10, and
Yeah.
you are going to be more than likely making an entry into Canada safe and
Vineet,
sound
here,
into
here
the
I would like to
institution where you
interject.
intend to study.
Even you said you're more than likely, but people
Hmm.
here are believing that I've got AIP, everything is sorted, right? It's
No.
99% probability, right? It's a
Yeah.
high
So,
probability case. But what
the
happens for example, a student? Yeah, Vineet, you're saying something.
not be let's not be politically right. Let's be either right or either wrong,
Yeah,
because I would be the most displeased person if I see, like I said, the agenda of doing what I do is to make sure that the students
yes,
don't face any kind of issues.
yes,
Now
exactly,
it is not going to be good for that parent or for that student if their child, or if that student with a lot of aspirations catches that flight, lands into Canada, and at the border, there is something that happens because of which he's sent back on the next flight. Let's
correct,
not even imagine that.
yes.
But if things are not really understood correctly in their high insight, they could be troubles ahead.
What does college say that whether a student has a choice to take online, or he or she, it is a mandate, or it is a student-based choice? I think we have a link issue with Vineet somehow or the other. I'll by the time Vineet joins us, I think there's a little bandwidth issue which is happening between me and Vineet. Till then, we'll talk about Algonquin only since it's an Algonquin-based event. Algonquin has one big advantage of a plethora of courses. So when we're back with Vineet, we'd like to talk about what options he has for non-medical students, what options he has for students with medical and other streams. So I'm trying to get Vineet back into contact. So where my technical team is trying to contact Vineet, and I think we'll have to wait for a minute. I'll try and take Vineet on a call with me so that we can continue the unfinished task. Just can you speak to the Vineet till the time I talk about it? So till the time Vineet joins back, we have all understood about AIP. What is AIP? What repercussions can have? So even you have heard it from the horse's mouth now. Somebody who is a man who has a depth experience and interacts with much more people on the Canadian platform than a student or an agent does. Right. Vineet, can you hear me? Yeah. So I think there's an issue with this thing, and because we can you speak so that we can check whether your audio is coming or no? Jasprit, his audio is not coming. Okay. So Vineet, I'll take you on the speaker phone till then so that the students can hear what we are talking. So you were on to a point that we were talking about that kids should take online classes mandatorily or choose out of his own choice, or there are programmized decisions made.
back to the question of AIP. So if you have received your AIP, as per the recent update from the CIC, it is safe to attend classes online.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, those who have got visas before 18th March, and if they want to come back to Canada, what is the word for them? They should travel. I always individual choice, as Vineet Bajaj and Ranjit Singh are nobody to decide on their behalf. But what is the recommendation if they get a support letter? Is Algonquin giving any support letter to travel?
We certainly are. Yes, we are giving support letters, and I think there is a great news that I'd like to share with all the students as well, that Algonquin will also be contributing towards your isolation expenses, which is now a mandate in Canada. So we would be contributing towards your isolation expenses as well.
So that's a big news that if you're going to Algonquin, you don't have a relative there or a place to stay, the college is taking care of your isolation.
We have arrangements, and we will also be contributing towards the isolation expenses, because this can be quite a burden on the student as soon as they land in Canada. They have this big expense, because mind you, isolation is not possible in a usual accommodation place, because I can't blame the property owner, but not a lot of property owners would give you their property because you want to isolate there.
Surely we won't like anybody to come and isolate at our place. Yes.
Absolutely, it's a safety matter. So keeping that in mind, we have organized external accommodations, at residential places as well, extended accommodation places, and whatever the cost is, like I said, we will be bearing, up to 50% of that.
We have students from Algonquin on top chat already asking the same. So Vineet, your college, Algonquin, is known for quality programs. So there are a lot of kids, those who have done +2 with medical, but they aspire to go for health-based courses, and they haven't done maths as a particular subject in Punjab because it's PCM. The B is missing. Most of the kids have physics, chemistry, and bio as a stream of education. So what options we have for people, those who have done +2 in medical but haven't done maths?
Yeah, so I am pleased to inform, especially let's take the example of the students in Punjab and the students in south of our country. Maths doesn't seem to be a part of their curriculum in many instances, that even if they have done biomedical science, they didn't have maths. They had PCB, physics, chemistry, and bio instead of maths. So in that instance, I would not be requiring maths in class 12. However, I would be looking at your math marks in class 10, and the benchmark there is 65 percentile or 65 marks out of 100, whichever applies to you.
Right. So which program would they begin their career? Let's say somebody with +2, 70% all around, good student. I know your benchmark is already high, so good is the obvious for you, right? Good is the basic for you. Yeah. So what do you think are the programs we can offer to such kids?
So, to these students, they can, because seen a need that a student from a science background also aspires to move towards the business sector, and that option remains open to the students. If they don't want to go for the science any further in their higher education, they can move into business as well. We do have some great options both at an undergraduate and a postgraduate level as well for business as a genre, and these students can very well apply to that.
Vineet, thank you for your time. One or two quick questions. I know you have lots to handle. One or two quick questions. Post AIP, let's say a student studies and he has a medical issue and he doesn't get the visa to fly. What kind of refund policies are there in general?
Okay, so if it is for a reason as serious as a medical issue, if proven, then the college would definitely consider a refund. However, if it is something which is not clearly proven, I would like to state on record that the refunds will not apply.
Obviously.
Because understand that the college is also in a very, very tricky situation. And I think it is going to be the notion which most of the colleges across the country, whether it is colleges or should I even say universities,
understandable,
So refunds would not be applying in case, or refunds would not be applicable if the student has not been able to come to Canada because of something which was beyond the college control and beyond the student's control. If it was a matter of a visa, because like I said, there is a very slim chance that a student after getting an AIP will not be able to get in. Why? Because there were things which were obviously not going to be acceptable even if this was a usual process of a visa file. If the student had declared all of that. So that is why the college will not take the responsibility for a refund.
That's understandable. Somebody who's trying to cheat us, why would we like to cooperate with that person?
Absolutely.
That's for sure. Vineet, any special words from your side? Any golden words to kids in general? Anything you want really to? Yeah.
Look, I would simply say that online classes for a temporary while is going to be the new normal. Please embrace this. Please don't be please don't be double-minded about it. Please don't be skeptical about it, because I think the government has made it more than clear, and I am absolutely with the government of Canada where they are also making things as clear as possible given the current situation, because there are situations that change every day. I am sure students who aspire to go to study, they might be following the Australian news as well. Australia was absolutely about to open their borders for international students, followed by New Zealand. And then an absolute relapse of COVID happened in Australia. Then they had to quickly apply the emergency brakes. So I think the government of Canada is doing all that it can, keeping in mind the current situation. And AIP is a wonderful, wonderful step to be taken, which at least moves things to the next step, which were currently on a hold for the last 3-4 months when we did not have any clarity.
Right. Thank you, Vineet. Thank you very much for being with us, and we'll have to hope to have you soon. There's a technical glitch, so your image was not coming, but your words were as valuable as they could have been. So thank you very much for being with us, Vineet, and stay safe and all the best to everybody.
Thank you, Navneet, and all the best to you, your team, and all the students who aspire to go to Canada. May everyone's dreams come true. Thank you.
Thank you, Vineet. Thank you very much.